Hi, I'm Dave. Today I'm here at Keele Services southbound getting a taste of what's available for EV drivers.
It's early morning and you wanna go take on the world and get to nowhere. Walk the path and
We're on the road to nowhere. I mean Keele Services on the M6 southbound. It's a bright and early start, very iffy weather for the next in our series on visiting all the motorway services to see what you can expect. Well, thumbs up, total shambles. Keep watching as Dave takes it on, arrives at Keele Services. The location of Keele Services, run by Welcome Break, both north and southbound, is pretty good. If you set off from London or the southeast in an EV heading for the Lakes or Scotland, then this area is likely where you will need to stop, both for you and your car. If you're heading south from northern England or Scotland, this might be a bit too soon for some, unless you have a restricted range car, like a Leaf or a Mini EV. Well, the access road is really quite short and the signs are good. No, road signs, guiding you, not the appearance, because that's a bit tired. You can immediately see the way in for cars or HGV, and also some of the services provided, like WH Smith and Starbucks. They're easy to spot. But the EV chargers are immediately obvious, so no need to hunt around. On your left, you'll see the Gridserve just up ahead in front of the Starbucks drive-through, and on your right are 6 Tesla V2 superchargers. In a Tesla, I just simply pull in to the right and find immediately there are vacancies there, so I reversed into place. Charging access is really quite good. It's not tight like some service stations are. It's quite wide and open, quite easy to get into position. So once reversed in and plugged in, travelling from here to the services themselves, it's just 100 feet or so. So even in really bad weather, it's not going to be too much of a problem. Chargers here are quite old, and they are the V2 units. These have a 150 kilowatt supply provided to 2 charger bays. Chargers are marked 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, etc. So if the adjacent numbered bay is empty, you'll get the full 150 kilowatts. If the bay is occupied, you will share power, but even here it's not just a 50-50 split, as most are. The unit has intelligent control and will apportion power where it's most needed. So if the adjacent bay car is nearly full and the charge rate has really slowed down to maybe 20 kilowatts, you will get up to 130 kilowatts yourself, and vice versa. The V2 chargers are quite old-fashioned these days, but luckily so is my car. On V2 chargers, you find you've got 2 cables to choose from. One of those is a CCS2 plug on the end, which I can't use because my car does not have a CCS2 socket. And the other plug in a charger is actually a Tesla proprietary one, which I can use. That's the socket I've got, and it means here I don't need an adapter. Obviously, on a V3 with only CCS2, I have to use an adapter. Here, I'm just going to simply choose the proprietary Tesla plug, and I can just plug straight in. Well, for non-Tesla drivers, and the Tesla supercharger is exclusive for Tesla vehicles only, there are 2 Gridserve units. They look like 50 kilowatts, could be 60, and they are dual bay chargers. One with double CCS2 plugs and the other with CCS2 and CHAdeMO plugs. We were here early midweek and they were both vacant, but with only 4 chargers at busy times it will be very different. Well, the units do look fairly well looked after, but they have very long cables that just drape out across the floor. The first one, obviously, there's a danger of a trip hazard, but secondly, they get very dirty. The roads here get very greasy and oily from the spilt fuel and the fumes, and so this will be picked up onto the cables, particularly when it rains, And moving the cables here, quite long cables, they'll probably brush up against your trousers when you're moving about. Some sort of cable management system is definitely needed here. Well, the bright screen cycles through a number of videos, but one of those clearly shows the price. And in line with all Gridserve chargers, that is 69 pence per kilowatt hour. Oh, it's not cheap, nor is it the worst. One of the bays is designated as a disabled bay, but the marking is very strange. It's probably not, well, it's not what you'd expect, but I'd imagine it would probably be honoured by, well, certainly some drivers. Once again, that location is absolutely fine. It is really close to the entrance to the motorway, so if in really bad weather, you're not going to get too wet just walking across to it. In keeping with my privacy policy, I try not to film indoors, but the outside looks sort of okay. Not nice and fresh, but not looking like you should turn around and go elsewhere. The services here include Burger King, KFC, Subway and Waitrose, plus, of course, Starbucks. Well, inside, found it okay. Once again, not brilliant, but actually acceptable. The outside also seems to be fairly well cared for, but the service buildings themselves are quite old. Do not inspire confidence. Suppose I would sum up the services, the facilities as, yeah, they're okay. Not inspiring, not bad, just okay. From the charging point of view, it's really not very good. There are only 6 Tesla chargers here and only 2 Gridserve chargers. Admittedly, they're dual bay. So it's not an awful lot of chargers for a very busy motorway services. The Gridserve in particular, being only 50 or 60 kilowatts, if you get 4 cars ending up parking there, you're not going to get much of a charge. Also, the chargers, both the Tesla and the Gridserve, are really quite slow compared to today's standards, where 250 kilowatts is regarded, I suppose, as normal, and 350 kilowatts is becoming more popular. The 150 kilowatt V2 chargers shared on the Tesla charging station are not very good at busy times. The Gridserve one's just an absolute disaster. If you end up with 4 cars all charging at the same time, you're going to get a trickle charge at best, probably similar to what you get from your home charger. At this point, the 2-hour parking restriction is going to come into play. So standard these days, as just mentioned, parking restrictions, it's free for 2 hours. If therefore you're plugged into the Gridserve, you're probably going to need that. And after that, you'll have to pay a grand total of £15 for up to 24 hours. So quite on the hefty side. When it's time to leave, the exit fairly straightforward. Takes you past the entrance to the drive-through Starbucks. It's a really handy feature, because if all you want to do is just grab a quick coffee, you don't need to park up. You don't need to go into the main building, but the route out is fairly straightforward. I did notice that the entrances to the car park are really quite narrow. I think this is probably to deter someone with a caravan or a trailer getting into the car park. So it is car park for cars only. But both the entrance in and the exit out are really quite narrow and fairly tight. They take you out past the garage, and you know the usual hiking prices for petrol and diesel. Here it seems to average about 30 or 40 pence a litre extra. Don't we EV drivers just feel sorry for the ICE drivers? Well, getting out from there, the drive out is fairly straightforward, and you're straight onto the motorway amazingly quickly. So in conclusion, not the worst we've been to. It's definitely not the best. Charging situation is really quite bad and needs some desperate upgrades. I would say bordering on appalling. The services themselves, well, they're okay. The big chains like the Burger Kings and Starbucks, they tend to keep their own places fairly neat and tidy, respectively clean. But the overall appearance, it is a very old building, and it's not at its best. Yeah, they've done something on the outside with the plants and flowers, and that does make a difference. And they do tend to keep it quite clean. We didn't see huge problems with rubbish while we were there. But it's not inspiring. So final conclusion, I think we put this one down to, it's okay. Hi, I'm Dave. Today I'm here at Keele Services southbound. Hi, I'm Dave. Today I'm here at Keele Services, southbound. We're just checking out what... no.
We want to thank you for watching along as Dave takes it on. And if you like what we do, all we ask of you is to click that like and subscribe to follow along.
Hi, I'm Dave.